Hi, I'm Don from DonDronesOn. On May 21st, I published a video summarizing the updates in the latest version of the AIM document and expressed concerns about the clarity and to some extent practicality of the new protocols for contacting aerodromes. In subsequent discussions with Transport Canada, they suggested we have a meeting to talk about it. Of course I agreed and suggested that someone from NAV Canada should also be there, as well as the steering committee from the Drone Pilot Association of Canada. Well, the meeting occurred on June 16th, and here's a summary of the very positive outcome. There were 3 Transport Canada folks on the video call, led by Jeremy Fountain. Alan Chapman was there for NAV Canada, and the DPAC steering committee was represented by Steve Bannister, Mike Hill, and me. The tone was very much one of cooperation, and it was great to see the Drone Pilot Association of Canada being recognized as an organization representing a sizable number of drone pilots. We're over 1,000 members now. We quickly dove into the 4 issues I had identified with the current wording in the AIM. So let's go through them one by one. First was the question of how the NAV drone authorization was being shared. In other words, if you're flying in controlled airspace, and go ahead and get your NAV drone authorization, do you still need to contact aerodromes you're flying near? Alan explained that the NAV drone information about your flight is made available only to the Air Traffic Services team, or ATS team, basically the control tower staff and other NAV Canada facilities like the Area Control Center, ACC, or Flight Service Stations, FSSs. Certainly for the main airport in the control zone, this is sufficient, and you definitely do not need to contact the airport's control tower. They have your operational details. However, any other aerodromes in the control zone, say hospital heliports for example, are not contacted by NAV Canada and will not be aware of your operation, even if that's where you said your flight was in NAV drone. As such, you should still contact any such aerodrome to coordinate your flight, but only if there's a risk of a conflict with manned air traffic. If you're flying low, staying well clear of runways and approach or departure traffic patterns, you probably do not need to contact the aerodrome. And I say probably because you are expected to apply appropriate judgment according to the nature of your flight. And I would say always err on the side of safety. The second question was about contacting aerodromes in Class G airspace, in other words, outside of control zones. Again, it was confirmed that the intent is that the drone pilot attempts, at least, to connect with the airport to coordinate their flight, but only if the flight would interfere or could interfere with manned aircraft operations. That said, during the discussion, it became apparent that despite the actual wording in the current AIM, their intention was that this coordination be limited to registered, certified, or military aerodromes, not unregistered aerodromes, such as, well, the farmer's grassy strip or someone with a seaplane at a cottage. Transport Canada will be updating this wording in a future version of the AIM. Now, it turns out that the change deadline for the October AIM has already passed, so the earliest we will see any of these updates will be March of 2023. The third concern was about recommending we look in the PRO, or procedure section of airport CFS listings for potential drone-related procedures. TC acknowledged that currently there are no such procedures in the PRO section of CFS listings, but airports may start publishing those in the future. So by default, the procedure when operating in the vicinity of aerodromes is the one that's outlined in the AIM. Well, with the clarifications we're discussing right now. Finally, we discussed the recommendation that drone pilots listen on aviation radios for manned aircraft communications. DPAC's recommendation was that this item be downgraded, if I could call it that, from a should to simply an additional safeguard if you have the equipment, expertise, and appropriate licensing. We also recommended they add a comment about scanners as an alternative, since scanners are less expensive and do not require a ROC-A operator's license. Again, a good discussion and they promised to reconsider the wording here. Now, in the midst of this radio discussion, I happened to mention our recent DPAC membership survey and the fact that 75% of our respondents indicated little to no prior aviation knowledge, which of course would include understanding that lingo of pilot radio conversations where Tango Romeo does not necessarily imply a romantic encounter. I think they found that information quite enlightening and may help them to tune their AIM verbiage to the wider audience. So, in summary, we go from this table to something like this, noting that the highlighted items are just proposals at this point. You should contact and coordinate with all registered and certified aerodromes you're flying in the vicinity of if there's any chance of interfering with manned aircraft. For non-registered aerodromes, simply stay the heck away from operating aircraft. And checking the pro section of the CFS listing, well, it's not going to be fruitful for some period of time. Listening on a radio or scanner may be a good idea, but not something you should necessarily run out and buy unless you're really comfortable in doing so. Again, these are not the official guidelines today, but hopefully the direction we're moving towards. Our meeting covered many other points, including ADS-B and flight separation, and overall was a huge success for all concerned, at least from a DPAC perspective. It was clear there was a heightened level of mutual respect amongst the participants by the end of the call, and Transport Canada even suggested we start holding quarterly sessions like this to exchange information, perspectives, and solutions. Our next session is in September. Fantastic. So DPAC is off and running and fully engaged. And in parallel with this session, the team is already diving into the exam knowledge area concern and working on a new improved website. Thank goodness. If you're not already a member of DPAC, please consider going to our current bare bones website, if that's a nice thing to say about bare bones, and sign up. There's a link in the description below. Membership is absolutely free. No credit card required. Your membership is crucial to ensure we have a strong mandate and unified voice that Transport Canada will continue to recognize as a significant stakeholder in the drone community. Thanks for watching. Safe and happy flying.